Not even going to touch that one. It's travel.
You got me, Justin?
Yeah.
Check. Everybody good? How's the mindset of the guys? I know some tough games of late, but they're still.
Oh yeah. Our guys have been great, and you do the NCAA rules and regulations. Sunday was off, but we get back at it today. So our guys are excited about this week. 2 road games against very good teams. And excited to get back on the court and keep working on the stuff that we need to get better at. And we're making progress, but at the same time, we got to figure out a couple different things that we need to tighten up. Mm-hmm. And if we can do that, it'll make a big difference in games.
What's the progress you are happy in making, and what are those few things that you want to shore up on?
Well, I thought our, when you play Louisville, the 3 keys. You got to take care of the basketball. I thought we did a good job of that. Only 2 turnovers against their press. I thought our guys executed a game plan really well against their pressure. You have to do a great job of controlling the defensive glass, and they had 14 offensive rebounds. And other than the first 10 minutes of the first half, I thought we did a really good job of that. And then you got to be able to do some different things against their defense, in years past, you'd score 50 points against that defense. And we scored 71, and we missed some shots that are good looks for us. So we have to do a little better job overall in some of the defensive stuff. It was the first team that was able to play over the top of us in the post. And that was a big difference, and ended up being the difference in the game with a post sub coming off the bench and making a difference with the 15 points that Anna scored. And our post defense was good, but not as good as it needs to be.
What do you need to do to connect your first halves with your second halves? I mean, several games you've been led ahead at halftime and not been able to bring it home.
You got to. I think the one thing we've talked about, and even on Saturday's game, it was a big thing. The free throw differential in the second half is a big key. So defensively, you have to defend without fouling, and that's. If you look at the differential between the first half and second half, that's it. And when you're getting outscored 10 to 20 points at the free throw line in a half, man, you got to be off the charts in every other area of the game. And that's 4 out of 5 losses. That's been the case.
What do you think? What can you attribute to that? Like you say, it's such a striking difference from one half to the next. I mean, is there anything you pick up on that you guys aren't doing in the second half that you're doing in the first?
Defensively?
Yeah.
We're fouling more, obviously.
Yeah, I was wondering if you can figure out, is it just that our guys not in position like they should be?
No, I think a little bit sometimes positioning. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, again, you have situations where it's second half, the defense isn't in front of our bench. Mm-hmm. So you need greater concentration and greater communication amongst the guys on the court. And that's just something that we need to get better at.
Marcus talked about some of his foul issues the other day, and him dropping his hands, not showing his hands when he's fighting through screens and so forth. Is it really that simple that when you're fighting around the screen, if your hands are down here as opposed to up here where the officials can see them, you might get called for a foul?
Oh yeah.
Really?
It's that simple. Yeah, I mean that doesn't mean if you show your hands you're not going to be called, but if your hands are within your shoulders and there's contact with your arms at all, even if the offense grabs you first, which is a tactic a lot of offensive players use, it's going to be a foul on the defense.
I think they shot 60% by the end of the second half. I mean, was part of that maybe like we need to back off and not foul? Was there any was it all related or?
No, they scored in the post.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so with those shots in the post, you're going to shoot a little higher percentage. As I said, you got to give them credit. You have a kid who's shooting 24% from the 3, buries 2 transition threes in Lee.
Right.
You know what I mean? And those weren't easy shots. It wasn't like it was a scramble defensively and no one was around him. We had guys flying out to him. Mitchell, who hadn't hit a 3 the entire conference season, hit one off of a handoff, which is the most difficult three to make as you sprint off, stop behind, get your feet organized, and shoot it. So you got to give them credit too. You know what I mean? Then they made their free throws down the stretch as well. Made some crucial ones down the stretch.
I know it's cliche when you say you have to play a full 40 minutes in especially league games, but we've been so close in so many games against top 25. The players see top 25 opponents.
Yep.
The players see it. Hey, man, if we can just go for all those minutes as opposed to 30
Yeah, and then
35.
and we talked the second half. We talked the last 5 minutes or 4 minutes or whatever the case might be. But the one thing you also have to realize, if 5 less mistakes are made in the first 20 minutes, then probably you're not in the same situation in the last 4 minutes. That's the thing. You have to get to the mindset where every possession, is crucial and important in this league, because you're talking about 5 games so far, and every one has, except for the Pittsburgh game, that score was not indicative. We made a bunch of threes at the end. That was the one game that, we still cut it to 4 with a minute to go or 45 seconds to go. But so I mean that you have to realize that it's every possession, and that's offensively and defensively. You can't have empty ones on offense. You can't have a turnover that leads to an easy basket on the other end. The 3 that Lee hit was off of a bad shot, and it's usually if you have a bad offensive possession, it usually directly leads to a bad defensive possession, and usually in transition.
As for this week, back-to-back games on the road, starting with NC State on Wednesday, what stands out with them and preparing for?
Well, they have one, not only one of the premier guards in our league, but in the country, in Cat Barber. He's just an unbelievable player because he can hurt you in so many different ways. He's got unbelievable quickness, shooting the ball extremely well. And, they're a typical NC State team. They're big inside. They really hurt us inside last year when we played them. Top 20 in the country in offensive rebounding because they rebound from 4 spots. They're grooming the next 3-point shooter in their freshman, Rowan, who can really put the ball in the basket from the perimeter. And the 2 twins are, I say, 2 of the most underrated players in the country because they really know how to play. And they're different. One's an exceptional 3-point shooter. One does a little bit of everything. So there's a difficult, and they've lost a bunch of close games. And you look at their record, they were up 15 or 16 in the second half against Virginia Tech and lost. They up at halftime against Duke on Saturday and lost. They're a team that has a lot of similarities to us when it comes to that.
I'm curious, this kind of predates you, but are you surprised? I know when you came here, you were talking about what the appeal of this program and some of the, playing in the ACC, being in Atlanta, got nice facilities, obviously with the arena. You kind of came in the middle of that, but are you surprised why is this program not, again, this predates you, it goes back beyond your time here, but is it, a lot of people I think surprised that this program hasn't been more successful over the last
20 years.
15, 20 years. I mean, we're looking back, hadn't had a winning record in the ACC, I think, since 04 or whatever, something like that. So,
right.
Is that,
again, there's a lot of things that go into that, you're doing it against, some of the programs in this country that aren't just programs, they're national brands. And if you take a look, it's not a league that's easy to move up in the rankings in. You know what I mean? The league has changed dramatically in the time that we've been here too. You added 4 top 25 teams to the league, and that's been a big change too. And it's been the biggest change when you look at the teams before that started that were either starting the rebuilding or in the middle of the rebuilding, and you take a serious look and you see how many of those teams have actually been able to make a jump on a consistent basis. And it's been difficult, there's no doubt about it.
Obviously, there's the first 6 games, you're killing yourselves to win. I mean, is there a greater urgency at all now, just trying to get back to the mark?
what's the mark?
Well, I mean, getting back to 500
Yeah.
or getting, getting to a point where, you feel like you can get to win to get to the
Yeah,
postseason.
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, in this league, if you don't have a sense of urgency, did it look like we were playing with a sense of
I don't think
urgency
so,
on
yeah.
Saturday?
Yeah, I'm telling you,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I don't think you can watch us play and not feel that our guys are playing with a sense of urgency. You know what I mean? You were at a point right now again where we're proving our competitiveness, and now we need to win those games. You know what I mean? And that's the final push. And sometimes it just takes one thing for it to click in,
Right.
for it to happen. And this league has a ton of stories of teams like that,
Right.
that were on the cusp, back and forth, and all of a sudden, And if you take a look in the league right now, if you said after 6 games, could you ever imagine Duke having 3 losses, Virginia having 3 losses? You know what I mean? Florida State having, 1 win, 2 wins? They were projected top 15 team in the country. So there's a lot of basketball. There's a lot of games that, again, it's who's got some momentum going. And it's one of the things that is always a challenge according to your schedule. Are you ever able to build that momentum? You know what I mean? I mean, our first 4 home games, you look at who we're going to play in that, and usually you start your momentum at home. Well, the challenge for our guys now, we need to start it on the road, and that starts on Wednesday.
It seems like obviously you guys are much better offensively and having some trouble defensively. Is DeMarco like a really good help defender, all ball defender that
Well, I think the change in the rules has been more of an impact on our defense than any one personnel. To be honest, I'm going to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I mean, we've always been a physical defensive team, and I think we've gotten better at adjusting. But yeah, DeMarco was obviously a tremendous defensive post player. We never had to worry about trapping the post. He was good off ball screens. He was good in the help position, different things like that. And Robert Sampson was pretty good defensively as well. Better in terms of understanding of it. So the one thing both those guys they were our 2 best defensive rebounders, also. But we haven't struggled as much in that. I thought that would be an area that we'd struggle in. But it's just I think it's a little bit of a mindset too. That I thought we were much better defensively in the Louisville game. You didn't see as many drives to the basket. You didn't see stuff like that. So I thought we made some improvements in that.